Hello and welcome to Cloudicate. There are many problems facing education in Africa, and some of these problems include lack of facilities, lack of resources such as power, internet, and devices, and there's also the problem of poverty. This slide, for instance, shows the sad state of affairs of education in some parts of Africa. The picture on your left shows children in Turkana County in Kenya learning under a tree without a classroom, learning materials, and the environment is clearly unsuitable for learning. The picture on your right also shows children learning in a classroom, but it is a very poor learning environment. What these two pictures have in common is that these children lack access to educational resources, and therefore it would be unfair to assume that they have access to internet or mobile devices. Our solution is a crowdfunding platform called Crowdicate. Through the Crowdicate platform, anyone can request for a crowdfunding campaign for a learning institution or a school that is in need in order for them to raise money for facilities and resources.
Our research was outsourced in the year 2020, crowdfunding transactions in Africa were 26.9 million US dollars. The estimated growth rate by 2024 is 15.9%. The funds raised through crowdfunding in East Africa in 2015 were 37.2 million US dollars, and in 2016, 103 million US dollars. The percentage of use was 177%. The targeted countries were East, West, and South African countries. Our business model comprises of events, direct contributions, sales, and campaigns. Our revenue streams at 10% of contribution, funds through in-person or online events, and quick sale of items either from organization or third-party reselling for profits. Some of the mediums we use to market our organization include advertisements, search engine optimization, social media, and in-person training.
Our competitors include PesaZetu, Mchanga, and FundFind. All these are crowdfunding organizations. We therefore use the following features to compare ourselves with them. Donation, crowdfunding models used, ease of use, accessibility, and specificity. Our competitive advantage includes specificity in the education sector, ease of access, and multiple revenue models. These include donation, reward-based models, and events. Our product is a progressive web app, which means it can be installed in all major operating systems. This is hosted in Azure. We also have an admin panel where administrators can manage projects or campaigns, events, funds, and users. We also have a user application side where users can see all the list of campaigns, events. They can also make donations specific to projects or random donations, and also share campaigns. So this is the Crowdicate team, and thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome to Team Higu, and basically our project is on empowering every student. So on our team we have just 5 people: Damlola, Omiera, and Lobat, Sarima, Nicholas, and Anita. And basically the problem or the challenge we saw, which we are trying to solve, is inaccessibility to quality education. Education is a really big problem in Nigeria. Getting adequate teachers and instructors is a really big problem in Nigeria. And in many schools, a big challenge they are having is access to adequate or experienced instructor. So now, as a result of that, we're launching EduLab. EduLab is an online resource that aims to make education accessible to everyone in Nigeria. And yeah, the problem, some of the challenges facing education in Africa are poor quality education, such as overcrowding, lack of proper facilities like textbook, learning resources, poverty in most of the countries, which makes it hard to employ qualified teachers, cultural practice that dictates early marriage, and lack of resources such as power, internet, and devices. This has in turn led to delay, or this has in turn delayed critical development journey that accelerates economic growth and, most importantly, social well-being. And yeah, basically our solution is we built EduLab, and EduLab basically makes education available, accessible to everyone. So with EduLab, instructors can upload their materials, their learning materials, and then any student can go there to get learning materials. Even schools that have issues getting appropriate teachers can always go to EduLab, get learning materials, and um, present it to the students. So we're also looking at situations whereby schools can't get a learning material, or they can't get a teacher rather to teach a particular subject. Or in better words, if a school can't get an experienced teacher or a qualified teacher to teach a particular subject, they can always go to EduLab, get learning materials, get videos on the subject, and present it to their students. We hope at the end of the day, this would help make good education accessible to people. Uh, yeah, thank you very much from Team Eagle EduLab.
Proper education, poor infrastructure, and limited access to knowledge has been some of the main factors facing education in Africa. So my name is Dana Kiribo Masese. I'm part of the Team Pick, and I'm going to highlight our products which we are able to come up with. So we focused on the teachers, and like most of the solutions in the market right now, which focuses on the students. So we have been able to create a freemium service which offers both online and offline services. So for the online services, we were able to come up with a website, and for the offline services, we were able to come up with a USSD service, whereby you can just dial a code and get educational resources for free. For now it's a freemium. We are not charging any amount of money to access our services. So for the website, once you create an account on our website, you are able to reach out to a network of teachers as well as a network of learners and be able to access educational resources free of charge. So our platform, it is a secure platform which provides for a network, and you can actually reach out to learners better and as well as teachers. We have a job listing feature whereby teachers can be able to get jobs. And what we have done is we have created it's like you just click on it and it redirects you to the actual job where it was first posted. So we are creating job opportunities for teachers so they can be able to earn a living through our website. Another thing our website offers, it's a forum. We have a forums page whereby teachers as well as learners can actually share ideas and views on matters of education. So I think it's a really smart idea whereby you can get quality information as well as up-to-date information through our forums page. Like if you have a discussion, you can literally have an argument here and be able to talk about different ideas and exchange different ideas with other people. So with that said, we believe that with further investments and guidance, Tritch can be able to be developed and we can actually reach the full potential of Tritch, and we can cater for a larger traffic as both in Africa.
Education for all has been one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, yet we are still along with the high levels of poverty, armed conflicts, cultural practices and disasters are some of the major hindrances to affordable education. For us to achieve quality education, we need good materials. And which other way can we achieve this other than using technology? Therefore, we came up with EasyLearn, which is a web application that works to provide learning resources to students in poor learning environments with ease and with minimal internet. Qualified teachers can upload different teaching aids, while students can easily access materials both online and offline and at their convenience.
Hello everyone, my name is EasyLearn. So EasyLearn has two parts, part for teachers and part for learners, where both of them can register and log in. And once they have been able to register and log in, they will be presented with different dashboards based on what they chose upon registration. Our target market for EasyLearn are students in Africa who cannot afford data subscription and quality education due to financial constraints, as well as students in Africa who cannot go to school due to cultural practices.
Hello, my name is Dave, and I will guide you through the financial aspects of the project. So when we look at the total available market, it has been valued at 2.2 billion US dollars, while the serviceable available market has been valued at 1.7 billion US dollars. And lastly, the serviceable obtainable market has been valued at 200 million US dollars. Now, in terms of competitive advantages, we first find that our project requires very little internet, since users can access the content even offline. Secondly, it caters for all age groups, since we do not limit how old the user is in our project. And lastly, we have a gamified based learning, which aims to make the project fun for the user. We will now look at the business model, and first we have a premium subscription to access premium services like one-on-one with tutors and assignment reviews. Secondly, we have educational related ads where educational providers can also advertise their content on our platform. And lastly, we have the option for a premium subscription that does not have any advertisements.
So Team Blazers comprises of these lovely individuals. Our team lead was Rita Okonko, who is also part of the backend team. Dave Ngoyai and I also worked on the backend. John Paul Okeke, who was our front-end developer, and Jacqueline, who was behind the designs of the web app. Thank you.
I'm going to be discussing about our solution, which we've built for the past 4 weeks for the Game of Learners Season 2 Hackathon edition. During the course of the hackathon, we were posed with a problem statement in which we are to actually make a solution that will combat the issue of inaccessible education in Africa. And we came up with a solution, which is an e-learning system to make learning accessible to those with certain learning disabilities and those who have restricted access to education in Africa. Our solution is tagged Edu Africa, which is focused on transforming education, changing lives, because as a team we believe that once we can transform education, we can change the lives of citizens and individuals residing in the nation, which is Africa. Next slide. Our problem statements. As I said earlier, we noticed that education in Africa faces a lot of challenges, from overcrowding, early marriage, inadequate learning materials, and thereby making education inaccessible. So we realized that in Africa, especially during the pandemic, it became glaring that education poses a lot of has a lot of bottleneck to students, and therefore we worked on a solution which is making an e-learning platform. According to UNESCO, 1 in every 5 children have no access to formal education from ages 5 to 11, making 63 million individuals in Africa having no access to formal education. And we know the way to channel social impact in a country and a nation, Africa as a whole, is by educating the people. Because when you can educate your people, you can improve your economy and thereby the standard of living. So how do we intend to make this education accessible to students? Our solution. Next slide, please. So we realized that some e-learning platforms are actually available, like Moodle, but then we decided that since these students might be with some certain learning disabilities, that is inadequate access to internet supply, we came up with a feature in our solution, which is the use of USSD. So by dialing a code on your phone, even if it's a non-browsing phone, you can have access to our education solution. And according to Data Reporter, 85% of persons in Africa have a small mobile phone. This actually helped us to focus on using this USSD platform to make education accessible to every student, even those that are not available to leave their homes, especially where we can find that in the north and in other countries, even in Kenya as a whole. Next slide. So the solution, by attaching a USSD service to an e-learning platform, students can do the following. So these are the things that students can do when as we attached the USSD service to the e-learning platform, is that they can register on an online portal. This does not necessarily need for them to have a laptop or a system. It's something they can do in a internet providing system, or we can call it a cyber cafe as we call it in Nigeria, or on a desktop, to register on the online platform or portal, and then they can answer quizzes and trivials even on their smartphones by just dialing a code, just as we do for mobile banking. Then they can also report attendance. The teacher can actually have access to the students' attendance, and they can receive bite-sized learnings. That's, they can receive learnings in little quantities, and that therefore making it much more effective than the regular physical system of education that we have in Nigeria. Next slide. On Africa. So how does this USSD service make education much more accessible? Is that we realize that almost every person has, even if it's a Nokia small phone, and by dialing this code, education is now at the fingerprints of everyone. Like it's very very easy to access it. You don't need to pay money for it. You don't need to go to far distance to actually learn. And then we know that by learning we can empower the future generation. So that's why we chose to integrate this USSD portal platform. Next slide. And working on the solution, we were 5 on the team working on the solution, and then our team is Team Phoenix, which comprises of our team lead Princess Oviawe, Gregory, Valerie, Roosevelt, and myself, Busola Additional. Next slide. So thank you so much for sticking with us through this hackathon, and thank you so much for empowering us with materials to actually assist us in building this solution. We hope to integrate this solution into real life, system, and actually work on it to compete with existing platforms which include Moodle and etc. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our team, which is called Sabify Exchange. We take you through what we've been able to come up with to solve our problem. So first of all, we front-end dev, and Stacy, which was a back-end dev. Then myself, I was the UI UX designer. Then Esther Wajiri was a team lead, having Mohammed Abubakar as the back-end dev. So now let's take a look at a simple scenario, okay? So imagine we have someone, a little kid, who'll be asking his mom for a school bag, and the mom has not been able to provide it for them because they are underprivileged. Now let's take a look at another scenario. A scenario where we have a child who has an old pair of shoes and has gotten a new one, and also old pair of books and have gotten a new one. And then she asks her mom, what am I going to do about these old books and old shoes that I don't need anymore? I don't have a sibling. Are we just going to throw it away? Now, what our problem we've been able to identify is that students, there are a lot of students who don't have access to these resources to buy new ones. So we've been able to identify that a lot of people who have used resources like school books, shoes, and bags who don't need them anymore because they've advanced in their educational level are going to be able to sell these books and materials to the underprivileged people at a lower cost. So what we've been able to do is we've been able to target this audience and be able to bring the buyers and the sellers together. So that is what Sabify EdChange. We're focusing on an online platform like a marketplace where you can exchange books, materials, and school-based items with underprivileged students. So our solution is to, like I said, to connect the students to each other for those who have passed through this level and don't need these resources anymore, to those who are just coming into those levels and need these resources. We also want to connect schools who want to stock up on educational resources for in their libraries and laboratories and all of that to be able to connect to individuals who have this material and wish to give it out or sell it out at a much lower price because they are used items. So our market validation shows that our market people will be schools and students, which are the students who have left the academic sector and those that are still in the academic sector. So we would be able to connect both of them or all of them together to be able to have a solid marketplace ground where they can easily exchange these resources and do not have to go about looking for where to buy them brand new, which would drastically reduce the cost. So that is how we selected the problem, and that's how our platform will be able to connect these people together easier and faster. Our market size is the whole of Africa. A lot of African students are facing this problem, so we decided that having a market size of between the age of 6 and 11, which is those are out of school, and 12 to 14 for youths. So that is about 60% of the youths who are of the ages of 15 to 17 are not in school. So those are the major category of people who form our sellers because they are the ones that are no longer in the 6 to 14 age bracket, and they'll be able to make use of these materials, which is the textbooks, uniforms, laboratory materials, and all of that. They'll be able to be the ones to act as the sellers to the buyers, which are the people in the lower age category. I will be planning to partner with big organization bodies like UNICEF and UNESCO because this is an innovative idea which will be able to bring a lot of people to give away these materials that will be rotting and wasting away in their houses. So our business model. Oh, sorry.
So we have the business model. For every sale, 20% of every transaction goes to the developing team. So here's a representation of the code. We have the home page which has top uploads. The top uploads include the items which have been liked and viewed the most by the buyers. Then we have the new uploads, which include the recently uploaded items. And we also feature the top sellers, which are the sellers who are liked and the items are moving at a fast rate. Then we have the details page. This comes up when you select an item. It shows the details of a specific item and the details of the seller so that you can contact them to get your item. And lastly, we have the products page. On this page, you have different categories of items being sold on the platform. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to week 4 of Game of Learners, developed by the Microsoft Africa Development Center. We are Team Elite, and this is our final submission. Hope you enjoy.
Imagine a world where quality education is not just a myth to many, but a reality to all. A world where regardless of where you come from, who you are, and what your abilities or disabilities are, quality education is a reality. This is Jason, a student at Strathmore University in Kenya. He is fortunate enough to be born into a family that is well-to-do and can afford him an opportunity to go to a prestigious private schools. And here is Etim, a student at Obafemi Awolowo University in Nigeria. She, on the other hand, was born into a humble background Thus, her parents could only afford to take her to public schools. So, what is our problem?
According to a study done by UNESCO, in 4 out of 10 countries in Kenya, there are on average 50 or more pupils per school. Due to overcrowding in classes, lack of resources is a big problem, resources such as textbooks. Poverty is also a problem facing education in Africa today. According to an article done by SSA USA, in Africa, 59 million children between the ages of 5 and 17 work instead of playing and going to school. These children are fighting the problem of poverty on behalf of their families. Cultural practices is also a problem facing education in Africa today. Therefore, we as Team Elite came up with a solution that unifies Etimi and Jason. Our solution is Educate Me.
And basically, our solution has African-based themes. It's a mobile app that offers various features, as you can see here. And now, how does this exactly work? So we built the UI that basically shows how every single thing works, where you could easily sign up, different sign-up options, and this is basically how the app is structured, clean and fast.
So to monetize it, we'll be using some ads on our platform. We also plan to have secure partnerships with Google, Microsoft to provide access to premium courses free of charge to people that need it. Also, in the future, we plan to deploy what we have to Play Store and make it accessible, and also include some other features, as you can see, to improve diversity and inclusion.
So why choose Educate Me? One, inclusivity. Our features allow that this app can be used by everyone, even those people living with disabilities. Two, accessibility. One is able to access their lesson while offline, and also while on either platforms, iOS or Android. Three, African-based. Our platform is made for Africans, by Africans, and towards the building of Africa. And four, variety of content. We offer everything from technology to technical skills such as plumbing and masonry. There are a few people that we would like to appreciate. First is Microsoft's Africa Development Center, who have hosted us and have created this competition, and also our mentors Grace Emenike and Ekene Ashinze from ADC Lagos. Thank you for your support.
We are Team Elite, and our next stop
is
mass education.
Education for you, education for all. This is a photo illustration of students who are eager and ready to learn, despite being in a classroom with limited desks. Inadequate learning materials and outdated cultural practices are some of the major problems facing education in Africa. We sampled one of the girls' boarding schools in Kenya and found out that they have a ratio of 60 students to one teacher in a classroom consisting of 6 streams per form. We as Team to Learn, we believe that everyone should get a fair opportunity to access education, regardless of their background or their cultural practices.
Of the above stated problems, we have developed a web application, AzureBoot, and ESSD technology. To build our web application, we've borrowed a lot from the main stack development, and we've built in Angular and hosted it in Azure App Service. Using our solution, students will be able to access free subject materials, thus solving the problem of inaccessibility of education materials. Students will also be taught life skill courses, which will educate them on their daily practices. Tutors will be able to examine and post materials and exams. Donors will be able to view donation resources, requests, and grant the request, which will then be used to provide resources to the students and the teachers.
Our AzureBoot service will act as a Q&A service to our students, and the USSD will enable the students to check their assessment results and also check the donation status in case they had a donation request. What sets us apart from other learning management platforms is first, we target only students in high school. We have a donors feature, and students who are affected by poor cultural practices can use the platform to learn as a way to go back to school.
For our business model, our key partners are the Ministry of Education and the donors to provide incentives for the tutors who will facilitate learning in the To Learn platform. We hope to reach out to at least 50% of the students in the near future. As students get to learn, that tutors will also have some income.
In the future, we plan to include live online classes for students, integrate with Microsoft Teams and Google Classrooms, and also look forward to having sign language interpreted courses to cover the physically challenged students. Additionally, we'll partner up with publishers to donate their content, and in exchange, we'll place ads about them on our platform. Finally, we intend to launch our USSD application on Africa's Talking for access to anyone in need. Thank you for joining us during this journey.
Education is the most important investment a nation can make in its future. It is a powerful agent of change that improves health, livelihoods, and drives economic growth. African countries record the lowest literacy rates in the world at 70%, causing ripple effects such as poverty and negative cultural practices. Those with access face the challenges of overcrowding and inadequate resources due to dependency on physical learning. Some schools are still closed to date due to the pandemic, leading to a rise in negative cultural practices such as FGM and early marriages.
As KaiZen, we are changing the perception of education in Africa. We are looking at education as a key area of improvement. Our solution brings a personalized learning resources to the learner through our mobile app and USSD services. We are also covering the negative cultural practices through reporting of cases, and hence more emphasis will be put on areas where more cases are reported from.
School owners will register their school using the admin portal, where they can see a personalized view of their school. Using the portal, they can create, update, and monitor personalized content for their classes. The whole system was achieved by using this infrastructure on Azure Cloud. We are hoping to achieve other implementations such as meeting features, interactive chat, and also machine learning to analyze data on areas affected by negative cultural practices, and also recommend content based on regions to advocate against negative cultural practices.
Our target market are schools with the learners in the new CBC, that is the competency-based curriculum, or 2663 system of education. We plan to get revenue by charging for the school services under 3 main subscriptions. That is the Kifaro subscription that has basic functionality, the Simba subscription with the Kifaro benefits and some more functionalities, and the Ndovu subscription that has both Simba and Kifaro benefits and some added functionality. Our key partners include Kenneth, so as to get discounted bundles for the learners, and NGOs to help advocate against negative cultural practices. What we bring to the table is personalized learning, inclusion, a change in perspective of education, and vibrant growth in learning. Join us today and help us change education for the better in Africa.
Sim Shaoku. Our goal as a team is to educate Africa. In Africa, there are over 220 million young ones, according to statistics taken by United Nations in 2015. But did you know that out of these 220 million young ones, 1/5 of them are children that are between the ages of 6 and 11? These children do not have access to school. 1/3 of this number, also between the ages of 12 and 14, do not have access to school. Another study taken by the UIS data revealed that 60% of youths between the ages of 15 and 17 do not have access to school. Why? What is the problem? We discovered 3 problems. First, they do not have access to proper facilities such as electricity, internet, and potable water. These facilities makes learning a lot easier. Secondly, the state of learning facilities across Africa is very poor, and so students are unable to have access to these learning facilities, and even when they do, they are not able to benefit as much as they should from these facilities. Overcrowding is another limitation. Another problem we discovered was lack of learning resources such as textbooks. Even with these problems, the COVID-19 virus changed a lot of things. Students were no longer able to have access to these schools. They could not learn. They didn't have access to teachers. And so the big question was, how do we help these young ones still benefit from school, still learn, and still get the necessary education they need, even with these problems? As a team, we decided to work on 2 solutions. First, making use of PHP and Laravel, we built a web application which gives students the ability to access resources online no matter the bandwidth of their internet. On this web application, we have pre-recorded lectures which are recorded by tutors from all over Africa who are experienced, and these tutors try to explain these concepts in ways that students can benefit more. We are also building a podcast platform that gives students the opportunity to access these courses, but they also have the opportunity to download them so they can access them when they do not have access to internet. These recorded courses made available to schools so that the students can pick them up at any point in time when they need to have access to them. This project was built with the African children at heart. But for Team Shauku, we tried to implement some unique features. Both of the applications we built were built by Africans, and these solutions were specifically built with African children at heart. Students who have access to these can have access to these platforms for free, and also tutors who make use of these platforms try to make the concepts they are teaching simple enough for these children to understand. Most importantly, students who do not have access to internet can also participate in this and learn from these courses and lectures. For the business value, authors who will be having their courses or their books or their learning resources featured would have to pay a small token for their lectures or for their resources to be uploaded, while governments as well as other organizations also have the opportunity to support this program. This is just a little part in helping African children. But we also realize that most children living in African countries do not have access to internet connection or mobile devices. And so for future goals, we plan to make these lessons and resources accessible to students like this. They can access these resources and these lessons with the aid of their radio.
We're Bloomlearn and we're blooming education in Africa. Let me introduce you to Ayi Central Primary School in Juba, South Sudan. The school currently has 500 students and 12 teachers, with only 4 of them trained to teach. Learning in the school takes place under trees and on tree trunk pillars. This is the situation in majority of African countries, where teacher-student ratios are up to 1 teacher to 100 students, and only 50% of teachers attaining minimum teaching qualifications.
BloomLearn is a digital platform that aims to bring students and teachers together on the internet. We have three major stakeholders. First are the students, and for the students, we aim to provide quality education to them, and they are able to access this content from wherever they are, as long as they have access to the internet. And for educators, they are able to reach a wider number of students and create an online resource bank which students can access in the future. And finally, we have our partners who donate spaces and devices when the need arises. BloomLearn was built on Django and Banana.js, which control how the students and the teachers interact on the application. And our donations platform was built with Power Apps.
Our target market is students in primary and secondary schools, parents with students in primary and secondary schools, and educators willing to earn extra income, are qualified, and are willing to put in extra time. Our competitive advantage is that we provide affordable education and focus on the local curriculum. For revenue streams, we're going to charge our students a subscription fee and limit some features depending on their subscription plan. We're going to charge a 5% commission fee for hosted classes by our educators and by renting out spaces and devices given to us by our donors.
In order to reach our target audience, we'll be partnering with organizations that are dedicated to providing support to enable conducive learning environments and quality resources for less privileged students. And we'll be working with Save the Children as they aid in the provision of learning resources, spaces, and devices. And we will also be working with Teach for All as they help in acquisition of trained and qualified educators.
We're doing an alpha release for the product, which we will be able to test on the users and confirm the usability of our application. Furthermore, we'll need to integrate more features such as payment to the application. Lastly, in the future, we hope to get approval and licensing for our application to be able to use it in all countries in Africa. Thank you so much for listening to us. We are TeamBloom.